The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Attention Ditto Heads. Attention Bo Scouts.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
It's time for the soul of excellence.
He is a radio host here in New York.
The Rush Hour is on the air.
Rush.
Now here's James Golden.
You do not determine who in the is going to be successful in this country because you are a model for the theory that a fat, stupid sack of can get elected president, because that's what you are, fat, stupid sack of and you can be for Governor Newsom or not. But let me tell you, dyslexia, and you know what he did? He admitted it. Why don't you release your medical records? That's right, your medical records, so we can find out if it was syphilis or it was gonorrhea. You know what you did? You stole your medical records from your interns. Gavin Newsom had the honesty and decency to say, yeah, I had this. And he was talking about his mother. His own mother who just died. You're so inhumane. I love that I have dyslexia. I have a short attention span. The only thing that I've ever been able to concentrate on in my whole life is how much I hate you. I can concentrate on that all day. And you know what? I'm glad I'm like that. That I'm asking all of you out there who are dealing with some learning disability or dealing with a child or a family member that has some learning disability to hate that son of a just as much as I do. Thank you.
That would be... Sorry. That's James Carville. That's James Carville's latest. I'm not laughing at the dyslexia part of it. Please believe me. I have relatives have dyslexia too. I understand that part, but James Carville is just... Welcome to the Already It's Friday again edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, fastest hour in American media. My friends, so much going on in the news. The Senate is going to be in Washington this weekend. They're not leaving, so that they can keep talking about the SAVE Act. We have the SAVE Act coming up. We have other things coming up. I have been fascinated by the Afroman trial. Oh, there's so much going. Hey, Carlos, how's March Sadness coming along?
Don't worry, my school is doing really good, and they're playing as we talk. They're up by 30.
Wait a minute, you're paying attention to a basketball game while you're doing this show? Is that what you're telling me?
I was paying attention while I was doing other shows, too.
Oh, the nerve of this guy!
It's not just you. But I had a question for you, like an actual question. How long is that SAVE Act thing is going to take for it to, let's say pass or not pass the whole Senate?
I don't know. That's the answer, because this is an extended debate. They haven't put a time limit on it. They're trying to just make sure that they talk enough so that Republicans can say, yeah, we had a little debate on it before it failed. Because the way it's going right now, they don't have the votes. That's what they're saying. And nobody in the Republican side, the base, wants to hear that. Now, Senator Kennedy's still saying it needs to go up to reconciliation and get it done that way. It only needs 51 votes. That way they could call in J.D. Vance and get the daggone thing passed. But John Thune, and we have John Thune today, arguing that no, the filibuster, let's just get John Thune out of the way now before we talk about Afroman and all that. Cut 3, here's John Thune. He was on Fox News. Here's your Senate Republican Majority Leader, John Thune.
Am I right?
Well,
Look, I don't disagree that there is a possibility if the Democrats ever get the House, the Senate, and the White House, get unified control of the government, they might try to do that. I don't think we don't know the answer to that. It's a hypothetical. But what I will tell you is there are not the votes to nuke the filibuster in the United States Senate today. And I think, frankly, too, for a lot of reasons, Bill, this it has protected Republicans through the years, conservative principles and priorities, by requiring a supermajority to get things done in the United States Senate. That's the way the founders designed it. You can argue that these are different times, and maybe they are.
No, it's not.
The founders decided to divide power in the Article 1 of the branch of the government between the House and the Senate, and they made the Senate this way for a particular reason, and that is to require a supermajority to get things done, which means that the minority has a voice in our government.
No, they
didn't.
So,
we're debating the philosophy of that right now, but the practical reality is, and this is what I keep coming back to, is there aren't anywhere close to the votes to nuke the legislative filibuster in the United States Senate today. That's the reality that I have to deal with.
Well, for all the debate,
CRAP. These are Senate. The filibuster is a Senate rule. Nowhere in the Constitution does it require that the Senate operate with a supermajority. It is a Senate rule. And the Senate has, now what the Constitution does say is that the Senate can determine the rules on how they want to do things. But this is a Senate rule that can be done away with. It is not the way that the founders set up the United States Senate. The way that the founders set up the United States Senate, if we're going back to that, would mean that the state legislatures appoint senators, not that people elect their own senators. Come on, Thune. Tell that stuff to somebody that doesn't follow history. Anyway, just excuses after excuses after excuses after excuses after. So they're going to talk and talk and talk until somebody says, okay, we've talked enough. Now let's make it fail. Is my take on it. Because they're not convincing anybody. Nobody's convincing anybody on the other side. Democrats know why they're against the SAVE Act. And Republicans know why they're for the SAVE Act. Cut 7, Senator Rick Scott out of Florida knows why the SAVE Act and why Democrats are opposed to the SAVE Act. Cut 7, here's Senator Scott.
They want to allow illegal aliens to vote. That's the only answer. So think about what you show more than anything else. It's not your credit card for most people. It's your driver's license. You show ID for everything. As Snerdley said, you show it to get hopefully not get a ticket. But if you go to the grocery store, you often have to show it. If they're checking your credit card. If you go to a doctor's office, you board a plane. Whatever you do, you're going to have to do this. Buy a lottery ticket in my state, so whatever you have to show this. So it's not like it's in the world to show it. So the Democrats say, first off, it's Jim Crow 2.0. Well, let's remember they're the party that was Jim Crow, but this is not. There's nothing racist about this. So everybody I know has ID. And think about it, they say married women always going to be disenfranchised married women. Now, I'm married to a married woman. I have 2 daughters that are married, and I think they can figure out how to get whatever ID they want, how to vote, all those things. They don't need anybody telling them what to do. They can figure this out. So any Democrat that says that women can't figure this out, they're stupid.
Okay, now, since we did that, let's go to cut 6, John Kennedy, who has actually been trying to tell everybody we don't even have to go through this process of endless talk. We can just do it through reconciliation. Cut 6. Here's Senator Kennedy.
SAVE Act says very simply, look, when you register to vote, you've got to prove that you're an American. And number 2, when you go to vote, you have to prove you are who you say you are in order to vote. But we've got to get 61 votes or 60 votes to pass this bill. There's a shorter way. I don't know why we haven't tried it. We ought to be doing it through reconciliation, which only requires 50 votes plus the vice president. I'm in the minority on that. The majority leader, who's my good friend, doesn't agree with me. A lot of
Why
Republicans.
not? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I have no idea.
I have no idea. Yeah, well, Some of us are beginning to have ideas. Now, we have Lisa Murkowski, who's one of the no votes on it. But you know what? In the interest of time, because I wanted to get to some other things today, I'm going to invite all of you to join me tomorrow morning. God willing, we are here. And we'll talk about Lisa Murkowski and her no votes. And she was on the Senate floor explaining why she, because of how special it is up in Alaska, can't vote. Yes, what is this? I looked it up. Certain STDs can potentially affect the brain. What's Carville's medical history? Ooh. Holy cow. Yeah, we're going to have to play that Carville one back tomorrow, too, because that is... Okay. So, enough for the SAVE Act. We've got other things to talk about today. The Afroman trial had me... I actually had to watch some of it last night. I'm going to take a break now because we need to be able to spend some time with Afroman and that trial. Also, if you are online trying to get to wherever you're going this weekend, OMG. The lines at Hartsfield International are ridiculous. I've been in that airport so much, in all of the terminals, and it is a massive airport. And I've been through security. I had to stay in Atlanta a few times, had to go through that security. I've never seen anything like what's happening at Atlanta Airport, at Hartsfield International right now. I've never seen anything like what's happening at Houston. LaGuardia in New York. Jacked up. And by the way, for those of you New Yorkers in the audience, your two New York representatives, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, both from Brooklyn, they caused this. It's insane what's happening at the airports. If you're traveling this weekend, leave a lot of time. James Golden Snerdley here. Friday. I can't believe it's already Friday again. Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. Fastest hour in American media. Keep it right here. Do not go away.
Rush. This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Bo Snerdley.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
So yesterday, Afroman was found not guilty. Afroman, again, Carlos is the first one, because, I had heard this. I didn't know. Carlos knew Afroman, played it for me one day. When I say knew him, don't mean that biblically, of course. He knew his music. And so, Afroman, to recap the story, the sheriff out in this county where he lives in conducted a raid on his home. He says they took money that didn't belong to them. He also says they disconnected his video surveillance cameras around the house, and they left the place a huge mess. He was ticked off, very ticked off. So he started making satirical posts about some of it on social media and eventually did songs about it. One of those songs I'm going to play tomorrow. He also, in this satire, he went after them hard, no pun intended, including he called one of the sheriffs something like Lick'em Low Lisa. And I watched that testimony yesterday, and this poor woman was in tears watching herself being defamed. And it was, I got to tell you, it was brutal. Brutal. He used AI with that one and had her performing sexual acts on another woman. And it was just it was brutal. The jury found them not guilty. This Cut 15 is one of the sheriffs testifying in the trial. This will show you how the trial went. And there are so many. Oh my! Just cut 15.
So you're claiming that is the defamation statement is that he said he had sex with your wife?
Yes.
Okay. And that's painted you in a false light?
It's caused tremendous pain in my life.
I'll get to that. We have to go through false light first. So does it paint you in a false light?
Yes, that my wife is cheating on me with Mr. Foreman.
But we all know that's not true, correct?
I don't know.
What? What? What?
Wait, you don't know if your wife's cheating on you or not?
You want to go there?
No, I just want to ask that question because you said we don't know.
I've been with that woman since middle school.
I know.
I would hope she wouldn't. But you know what? Once somebody puts it out there for their fun and entertainment, it's out there. And it's a problem.
So it's something we cannot verify the truth of? Is it a thing that can be verified, true or false?
Ask your client.
Wow. Of course, he can't say because he's suing for defamation. Yeah, we all know it's not true. So he had to answer the way that he had to answer. But this is so difficult. Anyway, Jake Tapper had Afroman on after the verdict. And this is how that conversation with Afroman went.
Mr. Foreman, how are you feeling after this decision by the jury?
Rejoiceful. I feel great. I feel real good. I feel good. I'm happy that freedom of speech and common sense is still around.
Tell us about the lemon pound cake that you mentioned in your song.
Yes. You know, when I was watching the raid, I was mad about, I was watching the door. I was angry. And one of my fans just happened to put in the comments, watch him watch the lemon pound cake. And then I looked at it and it was kind of funny. And then I put it up on my post. I took his clip. He put his clip in my comments. He did it for me. He put his clip in my comments. So I downloaded his clip and I didn't really think it was a big deal. But I posted it and people was just going crazy, I was like, hey, And every time I said lemon pound cake, the comments would run up. It was like this magic word. So we made a song about it, named the album, and it's been working.
Yes, my friends. And lemon pound cake. The cops have received this raid thousands of pound cakes, apparently. We'll be back. Don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
Okay, let us, my friends, turn to this jarring story. Pete Hegseth yesterday, Pete Hegseth was talking about the losses to our members of our military, and he offered up a prayer for them. Apparently, that did not sit well with the moderator, the hostette of Slay the Nation on CBS. Bad news from CBS, by the way, today. They're closing down their radio news industry, the CBS Radio News Network. Now, many of you, I'm going to come back to it. I'm not going to lose my place here with this Margaret Brenner girl. But let me just say about CBS. It saddens me. Yes, I know liberalism and how the left, but as a student of media, particularly radio and electronic media, this is a real sad story. William Paley, founder of CBS, was young in the business when CBS Radio News started in September of 1927. that business grew. And radio was one of the first real electronic media, nationwide electronic media mediums that there was. So CBS paved the way with this, the CBS radio network. Then television, of course, came, but in radio and television, then you also had the other two networks that sprang up, but they were both the same company. A lot of people don't know that. NBC and ABC were the same company. One was called the Red Network, the other was called the Blue Network. Now they're both just Blue Networks. But back then, and eventually they split off into two separate networks. Television came, the wars came, World War II, and in World War II, CBS News exploded. From London, you heard the rooftop reports during the Nazi bombing of London. Edward R. Murrow, CBS News reporter, who would become a legend in the industry. Some say gave way to the current day liberalism, but regardless, he was a giant. And CBS had names that became giants in the industry. Douglas Edwards, Dallas Townsend. You had so many things that happened through radio. The fireside chats with Franklin Delano Roosevelt in the 1940s, during the Depression. During the Depression years. CBS Radio's coverage of Germany's invasion of Austria in 1938. That's the first time that Edward R. Murrow was heard on their airwaves. For generations, it was CBS, the Tiffany Network, that just really defined what would be the standards of journalism. Of course, Walter Cronkite. And then you have that bunch like Dan Rather and the rest of it, where it really became what it is. And I don't even want to talk about that because I want to talk about the great days of CBS. And by the way, NBC at the time also had great reporters. You had people like Chet Huntley, David Brinkley. These people were giants. And so to see the demise of CBS Radio news is just, it's jarring for those of us that have followed media and studied media. It's jarring. It's sad. But James, they're a bunch of liberals. I know. You don't have to tell me about liberalism and the networks and liberalism in the news, but I'm going to tell you something. That's not all that they were. They weren't just a bunch of liberals doing liberals. There was also, back in the day, a long time ago, real journalism coming out of some of these organizations. And once upon a time, this thing about the Tiffany Network was, in terms of the standards and setting up broadcast standards back when people used to pay attention to broadcast standards. Real deal. So it just saddens me. I'm sad. And I have had friends that worked for CBS News in the radio news division. And it was the highlight of many of their careers because it still had that, even though the luster no longer shined as brightly as it had or shone as brightly as it had in previous years, it was still a place where standards applied and meant something. So I'm just sad. But change happens, and with change comes more opportunities. And so, and you know me, folks, those of you that have been listening a long time know I don't celebrate people losing their jobs. Never do. I'm just very sad over it. At the same time, I'm hopeful that the new opportunities for the good people, and there are many good broadcasters that work at CBS, and there are many good broadcasters who do work in spite of the political and over-politicization of some of the workforce. There are still great broadcasters that work at some of these places. And it just saddens me to see that it's going away. So, back to the very liberal Brenner that hosts this Face the Nation show. When the Secretary of War prayed for our troops, she posted something on X. The news report that we have of it, it's Trace Gallagher over at Fox, was so, I guess, put out by what he heard that he devoted a piece of commentary to it, and we thought we'd play it for you. Cut to Trace Gallagher speaking about Margaret Brenner, host of CBS, Face the Nation, responding on social media to Pete Hegseth, praying for our fallen troops.
Fox News Tonight Common Sense Department has criticized the liberal media for consistently framing the war in Iran as if the U.S. is losing or in the process of losing. Common Sense was beginning to chalk it up to the left losing faith in America, but maybe the left is just losing faith. Today, War Secretary Pete Hegseth held a press briefing and offered a prayer for the 6 U.S. service members killed in that Middle East plane crash. Praying for troops is a tradition that goes back 250 years. But the host of CBS Face the Nation, Margaret Brennan, was apparently offended by the prayer. Posting on X, quote, "The Secretary of Defense tells the American people to pray for our troops on bended knee and invoke Jesus' name." Going on to say, quote, "The religious references as justification of war continue." Brennan got pushback from politicians, pastors, and podcasters, accusing her of attacking people's faith. But the Daily Beast decided the pushback had nothing to do with her comments and everything to do with her sex, quoting, "Trump goons launch another attack on female journalists." Did the Daily Beast ever consider that people of faith don't appreciate being mocked and degraded? Common Sense assumed the left didn't want America to have a prayer of winning the war. Looks like they just don't want Americans to have a prayer. Period.
And there you go, my friends. It's not just the liberal. They can't stand it when to hear prayers, not even for our fallen soldiers. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen. California, and I hope to be able to, if we can, squeeze some time in tomorrow to talk about this. I briefly mentioned it. This could be huge, and I hope that the publicity around it doesn't change what is developing. So many Democrats are running in the governor's race in California that the 2 Republicans have managed to squeak their way to the top 2 positions in polling. And we're not talking big numbers here. 16, 17%. That puts you on top because so many Democrats are running. But with their weird system of election, ranked choice, it is possible. Now, one of these people running is Steve Hilton. He's been running for a while. He's an immigrant. You can tell where he's from, or give you an idea where he's from. And Mr. Hilton had some words to say about Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom, by the way, has been doing his best to smear an internet journalist, Nick Shirley, because Nick Shirley's been out in California actually doing legwork and showing it, going to places that claim that they're doing business with the state, offering hospice services, offering medical care, and in many of these businesses, there's nobody there. Or you have like 150 businesses in one that are listing themselves all getting money from the state, and it seems impossible that they would be. He's doing the legwork, and Newsom chastised Shirley online. But first, Steve Hilton, who's running for governor of California, had some words to say about Gavin Newsom and 14. Here he is.
Very simple 4-letter word. It's called MUGA, and it stands not for Make America Great Again like the president would say, but the guy who's obviously on a presidential campaign right now across the country, Gavin Newsom. MUGA stands for Most Useless Governor in America. And that's Gavin Newsom, because California has the worst results of any state in America. We have the highest poverty rate, the highest unemployment rate, the highest cost of living, highest gas prices, highest cost for everything, insurance, housing, water, rent, you name it, car registration. Everything costs a fortune. You've got crime, you've got homelessness, the wildfire disaster. Everything's a disaster. And so people are saying, we've had enough. We've had enough of this. We need change in California. And I've been traveling the state putting out a strong, positive alternative. $3 gas. Cut your electric bills in half. Your first 100 grand.
Yeah, I don't want to move into all his political, because I don't want to do a political ad for the guy. But he's out. MUGA. Gavin, most useless governor of America. MUGA. That's Gavin Newsom. And it sounds like a mugger. I mentioned Newsom retweeted or reposted, re-X'd what it looked to be a smear on Nick Shirley, having him at a classroom door. Can I see your kids? Like he's some kind of pedophile dressed up in some union. John Fetterman has taken exception to this. Shirley is doing the work that the journalists refuse to do. He's actually on foot all over California, visiting these places where taxpayer money is going, and what he is finding is astounding. And what he's not finding, what your actual business is conducting business. It looks like it's Minnesota on steroids. It could be. So here's Fetterman, cut 17, talking about Newsom's attacks on the social media journalist Nick Shirley.
Why can't you celebrate any journalist or any, activist doing that? And what, Governor Newsom put out a disgusting video implying that he's, a pedophile or he's that. Like, why? That's like kind of a smear. You want to disagree, but to imply that someone in one of the most gross kinds of terms like that, it's like, hey, shouldn't we agree? Like, eliminate all the waste. If it exists under my purview, let's eliminate it. Let's call that what it is. I'm not going to call someone or imply that you're a pedophile or you're, going after kids in gross ways.
But what's crazy to me and so many other people that have seen these videos is to then see reactions from leaders in the Democratic Party saying, we don't have a problem, this is racist, this is whatever, and denouncing the reports of this. Exactly. But when you see this fraud, it angers everyone. You're spending money as a taxpayer, and then you're giving the money away to fraudsters. It should. You should be angry. And, fraud can happen on both sides, but when it's identified, I don't care if it's in a Democratic state, we should all just acknowledge maybe there is a problem here. This is part of the thing. If you tell voters that you're wrong or, hey, it's no problem, there's nothing here, then you lose. And that you want to turn that into, if you want to turn that into like the border, what Democrats is in 2023, we do that at our own peril.
Fetterman's, by the way, poll numbers in Pennsylvania among Democrats tanking. I bet you poll Republicans on Fetterman, even though he still stays with the Democrats on some things. There's a lot of respect growing in this country for Democrat John Fetterman. James Golden, Snerdley, fastest hour in American media continues.
Rush. This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Bo Snerdley.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
Rush.
Now, here's James Golden.
We leave you today, my friends, with Kenny Rogers, singer, songwriter, record producer, actor, entrepreneur. Over 120 hit singles in his life, crossing a lot of different genres of music. One of the people's favorite singers of all time. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you, your family, your loved ones. Love and gratitude for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God willing, we're back in the morning at 7 a.m. Until then, my friends, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.